In this demonstration, we're going to show you how we can use ArcGIS to manage a DOT infrastructure investment program with commercial off-the-shelf technology. We will show project intake, data-driven scoring, work orchestration, and dashboards that show the project moving through the review process to funding. I'm going to play the role of Michelle Sullivan from an MPO who is submitting a project, and Steve Smith, who is a project manager at a city, county, or state DOT who shepherds the project through the review process. To get started, I'm going to submit a new project. So immediately when I open the form, it knows who I am, and I just have to provide it with a few bits of information. We need to give our project a name, and we need to give our project a justification statement or a description statement. Next, we need to specify the project use. This is a roads project, and when we answer that question, another category opens up that asks me the project category, modernization. Now we're going to provide a ROM. This is a rough order of magnitude cost. We don't know that this is the final cost, but we are going to submit a cost. And again, this is a configurable application, so if you don't want to include costs in the initial project intake, that's totally possible. Now we're going to specify the location of the project. To do that, we are going to locate Smith's Mill Road. And we're going to draw a polygon around this location. So now that the polygon has been specified, we're going to go ahead and submit the project. And immediately you're going to see a couple of things happen. First, you'll see the project jump into the list, which now shows that we have a new project. And if we close this out, we can see that we have a new project on the map. So now that the project's been entered, I can select the project, and if I need to make any changes or updates, I can simply open the project up and provide any updates I need to make about this particular project. So for instance, if we need to say this is an energy transition zone, I can mark that as such. Now, let's check my email. We see that I got a message. We'll go ahead and open this message up, and it just states that Smith's Mill Road repaving and restoration has been submitted for review. So I'm going to be notified by the reviewers in the coming days, and when the process is completed, we'll be notified with next steps. Michelle is in a holding pattern while this project is reviewed, and now I'm going to change roles, and I'm going to play the role of Steve Smith. When I open my email, we see that I have a new project called Smith's Mill Road repaving and restoration. And I can click on this link and it'll take me to Workflow Manager where I can complete the assigned steps. So when I come into this application, I can see that I have a new job. This application is my work orchestration application. It lets me keep track of this entire project, and it lets me send all the required approvals, and it allows me to also get other folks engaged in the project if there are questions. So this whole process has been orchestrated so that I am involved every step of the way, and when I need someone's approval, I can get it, and when I need to send messages to Michelle Smith, I can also do that. So let's go ahead and let's take a look at the details. And you'll notice here when we look at the details, down here in this project intake details, we can see the person who submitted, Michelle Sullivan, and we can see all the information that she provided. Phone number, project justification, the project name, all this information has been captured. And this information was utilized to send those emails that you just saw a few moments ago. So the entire process, including emails, is orchestrated. To give you an idea of what I'm talking about, I'm going to go to this design option, and this shows me the actual workflow that we are working with, down to each and every step. So literally when we work with a customer to help deploy a solution like project intake, we are interested in every step of the process, who gets handoffs, what they do with those handoffs, who they may hand off work next, and then and the recipient as well, what the recipient does. When the recipient needs to be notified of something, when a rejection happens, where does that rejection go to? And if something's not rejected, is it passed on but stored off so it can be utilized later? All of those things matter when we're looking at a project like this. So I've got every step mapped out, and this allows Steve to basically work through the process, notify the submitter when something's been rejected or accepted, or when they need further information for review. So all of this is possible all the way down to the last step where a project is finalized and either approved or declined. So if we go back to the Work tab, we see that work here. Next, if I click on this diagram, I see the same diagram I just showed you in design a few moments ago. So this project is waiting for me to review it. And then from there, I can also leave comments. I can upload documents. I can provide any notes that I want to provide. So we don't need to do that for now. We're just going to go ahead and start the step. This is going to launch into a dashboard. And I'm going to go ahead and minimize my details. And this dashboard is where I'm going to review the submission that Michelle provided. So when it opens, you'll see the road that she chose. And there's a couple of things I want to point out about this map. This map has multiple layers in it, of which include several different data sets from other partners that we work with. For instance, FEMA flood hazards, Ohio Department of Natural Resources watersheds, CDC Social Vulnerability Index, Ohio Department of Natural Resources critical habitat. These are all layers that are overlaid on top of every project. So when we enter our project in, we're going to check for the existence of the project intersecting each of these layers. This is going to allow us to calculate scoring on the project, which has actually already been done, and I'll get into in a moment. So you can see these various layers as we turn things on and off. So now you're looking at the blue line represents watershed, and if we turn that off, we can see soil data as well, all intersecting with our project. All right, now I'm going to review the submitted project. Let's select it first, and now let's click on review. It's going to ask me for my credentials and sign me in using the same login I used to log into my workstation. So now we're looking at the submission that Michelle provided, and notice I cannot change any of these records. They are read-only, so I can see Michelle's name, I can see the information she provided, but I can't edit anything. I can go down to the project details, and I can see all the information she provided about the project, and then most importantly, I can see scoring. I can see, and this takes into multiple categories into account. We're looking at the LRS, or the linear referencing system, which is going to have all of our road asset information like speed limit, lanes, AADT, safety features that have been put on the roadway, the functional class. We can see project intersections with other road projects that might be taking place. We can see if it's a one-way street, pavement condition, critical facilities that may be on the road like hospitals or fire departments, things that where that road, it's critical that access be available to that road at all times. And then we get into critical infrastructure, which would be critical utilities that run under the road. We look at crash data, as well as the watershed information I point out. It's using a very simple rubric. The lower the speed, the lower the score, and as speed increases, the score increases. Same with AADT. There is a range of AADT values where the score increases. Functional class is the same. So wherever these values increase, where you might get more traffic on a daily basis, the score increases, where it's a more impactful project. Then we look at things like flood zones. If a flood zone is found to intersect with the project, that also that could impact the score negatively, giving it less of a value than what it typically would have, which is why I made sure that this project intersect the river, as you'll see later on. We look at things like incrementing tax districts. For soil type, we're looking at things like the impact of the soil type on culverts. If a soil is known to have a high acidity, that can impact middle culverts versus, say, an alkaline soil, which is going to have a higher decomposition rate to cement culverts. Then we get into things like energy transition zone, critical habitat, which there is a rabbit's foot mollusk that lives in these waters and has been found in these waters and negatively impacted this project. We look at social vulnerability, and we kick out a final score of 40. So when you add all these things up, we get a 40 at the end. And we'll see how this compares to other projects as we go through the process. For now, I'm going to allow this project to take place because there's a couple of things I know about, which we'll talk about as we get in through the demo. But essentially, this area is known for a couple of pretty large businesses that are that are on this road. And as you can see here, this road goes from dual carriageway down to 1 lane or 2 lanes back to dual carriageway. And so we want to really bump up this area, but we highlighted the whole road. So as we go through the project, I'm going to show you how we can adjust the scoring based on the needs and based on all the information that Michelle's going to provide throughout the process. So for now, I'm going to go ahead and allow this project to pass, knowing that more information is needed. So we're going to go ahead and calculate the date, add my name, and then I'm going to list out some risk factors. So currently, one of the problems I see is an inadequate right-of-way, inadequate utility impact. We need to deal with stormwater mitigation, wetlands restrictions, critical habitat impact, flooding potential, engineering impact, and safety and infrastructure. So those are the 9 areas I see as potential problems. I'm going to go ahead and provide my notes, my review comments that indicate this. And then I'm going to mark this project as moving on to PIF review. So next, I'm just going to hit submit. And you'll watch the project change from green to orange. So there we go. So the project has changed color to indicate that it has changed. And now I'm just going to complete the step. And now emails are being fired off. So again, you're now seeing the back-end process where those emails were just sent, and now we can review needs. But first, I want to take a look at the emails. So now I'm going to put my Michelle hat back on, and I'm Michelle, the project submitter. So again, I'm going to open up my email, and immediately we see that project Smiths Mill Road repaving project has been accepted, and the next steps are to go into the initiation form, review the comments, and address any project needs or concerns. The project form can be filled out here at this link. I'm just going to go right to the page. I'm going to go right into submit project needs. I'll select my project. And we see it's waiting for me. And now the section I need to work in is already open, so I can minimize the map. We don't really need to see that right now. So before I start filling out any information about project needs, I want to review what the project reviewer had to say. So I'm just going to open up this section, and I can see all of the risk factors that Steve mentioned. All 9 risk factors, and I can see Steve's comments. So I have access to everything he said, And now I'm ready to go ahead and provide project needs. So I know I need safety measures, and I'm going to check the items I need. So I need guardrails around the bridge. We need some delineators, probably rumble strips. I'm going to do improved signage, overhead lighting, and those should be the only requirements I need. Again, we're getting this information based on the type of project this is, the type of road it is, the type of road it needs to be. So we need to make this 2 lanes or dual carriageway throughout with 2 lanes on each side of the road with turn lanes. We're going to do new traffic signal. And so it asks, the next question is, are intersection improvements required? We need to make an intersection improvement here at Kitzmiller Road. So we are going to say yes, and now I'm just going to mark what I want. So I want a signal controlled intersection, and now I'm going to mark the things I need. So I want better pedestrian access, crosswalk buttons, ADA curb ramps, LED signals, turn lanes, raised medians, since this is dual carriageway, crosswalks, advanced warning signs, traffic control, smart traffic control, and then traffic cameras. And then as far as pedestrian improvements, yes, we want to add a sidewalk on one side, bike path on the other side. That is a standard in New Albany, so we want to make sure we adhere to that. And then next I want to make sure this is the State Route 161, which is basically divided highway. Is nearby but not close enough for park and ride. That would be closer here to the on-ramps. So we are going to say no to this. And then utility improvements, yes. We know we are going to need to update the sewer lines, the water lines, and the electric lines in the area to support those smart signals and whatnot. And then transit improvements, yes. I want to make sure that we have bus stop improvements, improved signage, curb extensions, and bulb outs there. And now, now that that's done, I'm going to go ahead and submit. And then I could add a content section on notes to provide more detail. Maybe upload a preliminary sketch of the project and what we think it's going to look like. So I could provide all those things, and I could configure all those things in this intake form. They aren't currently there, but could easily be added. So we'll go ahead and we'll hit submit. And again, so now I'm Steve Smith, and I see that the project Smiths Mill Road repaving and restoration has been accepted and is currently updated for PNF review. So we'll go ahead and take a look at that project. I am reviewing needs and project scores. So we'll go ahead and we'll start the step. So for this, we're going to go to score project. And this is where we see all of those project scores and what they look like. So if I were to select Smiths Mill Road, we see that it automatically updates itself and shows me that it's a score 40. And this dashboard, if you just take it in for a minute, it's showing me each and every project and what it scores at and what that estimated ROM value. Again, you see the project, you see where it is, how it scores. So let's go back to Smiths Mill. So you see the project funding source by year, but no funding has been applied yet. So we will get into that later, but normally once the project funding has been applied, that will happen at the end. Then we would be able to see if this is federal, state, or local. Next, we have the project list, and of course, I have all the scoring details that flat out show me right now this is a poor candidate. So, and it's primarily because of the flood zone and the endangered species, the mollusks that were found in the area, but we're going to get to that here now. So let's go into the project need review. And again, we see that my project pops up, and we can open this up so we see it, or I can just come up here and enlarge it. And now what I might do here, when I go into the project needs, I might actually pick up the phone and call Michelle. And at this point, I would start asking questions, or I would get notes from her, or any preliminary designs. But basically what I would want to know is, tell me about this project. And over the course of her explaining the project, we would learn that, hey, the bridge that intersects the river was put in 2017, and it's a brand new bridge. We don't really need to touch that part of the road. In fact, we're not even going to be down near that part of the road. We just need to make sure that the sewage runs, or the runoff water from the road is running down the storm drains in the opposite direction of the stream. They're running in a different direction. So really, we are looking to upgrade the utilities. We're looking to upgrade that section of road, provide better pedestrian access, but it's not going to impact the actual bridge itself. So with that in mind, I might just come right down to the bottom, and we'll find that section. So there's our flood zone impact, and we know. So since we know that this has been engineered to withstand a 500-year flood, we're going to change this value to 20, and we're going to go down to the critical habitat, and we're going to change the score to a 0 because there is no net impact negatively. And then we might start bringing up some other values as well. So we know that on this particular road, this is going to get bumped out. The speed's going to go up to 45. So we're going to set this score to 20 to indicate that jump. We're going to actually set this score, to 25, indicating a jump from 25-mile-an-hour road to 45-mile-an-hour road. This is going to jump up to 4 lanes, which is going to take this value from 15 to 25 as well. We're taking up 10 points, 5 points for each number of lanes added. And then the functional class is going to go from 7 to 5, which is a major arterial, which that will take this to a 15. And then project intersection, this does not intersect with any existing projects. AADT, we expect that to bump up, so I'm going to take that up accordingly to 20. And then pavement conditions shouldn't change. Safety barriers, I mentioned there's a whole set of safety measures we're going to be deploying, so we're going to take this up to 15. And then finally, I'm going to go ahead and put my stamp of approval on this. So you'll notice the project score has not changed yet. That won't change until we hit submit. So for now, we're going to just leave this alone. We're going to recalculate the date, recalculate my name, and then list any additional concerns I might have. So with all the knowledge we have, I have no concerns. I'm ready for this to go to approval. I'm going to mark that as none, and then let's go ahead and plug in my comments, which reflect everything we just talked about with Michelle. And then I'm going to move this into PNF review and submit. And so now the project changes from orange to yellow. And we have a new project score. So if we take a look at the scoring details, this project bumped up considerably because of the changes we made, and now is an excellent candidate and does fit a need that New Albany has, which is perfect. So we took it from a 40 to a 160 just by making a few changes and getting some background information about the project. So now when I look, I can see how this project stacks up against all the other projects and then where it is in the process. So let's go ahead and let's finish the job. So complete the step. This is going to fire off the next emails letting Michelle know that the project's been accepted. So now Michelle has an email waiting for her. Smiths Mill Road repaving and restoration has been accepted and has moved to final review. So comments are going to be made. Project scored. I can go review that. So Michelle can come out to the dashboard, go into project needs, and see her project, and then exactly what happened with it. So I can come into the scoring details, and I can see, if we scroll all the way down to the bottom, that our project score should be 160. There it is. So all that information was captured in this project. So now at this point, I'm going to switch back to Steve. As you saw a minute ago, Steve Smith has an email. It's basically letting him know the project's ready for final review. Now, this may be a different person. It may be a director. It may be a review board. There may be a certain person that is required. One of the great things about the workflow orchestration is that we can actually create these jobs into a group, or we can strategically target an individual based on geography. So if we have projects coming from DOT districts or MPOs within a district, we can have a district person review the project and get it up to this point. And then that final reviewer might be a review board, or it might be an individual or a set of individuals who have that authority. The point is, we can rework this workflow to make sure that the right person is doing the review at the end. And that's really what I want to have you take away from this, is that the entire process is configurable and can be modified for what you need. So with that being said, at this point, I could reassign this job to someone else, or, and to do that, I would just simply come into the job itself. I could edit the job details and take this assignment to another individual. So you can see there are other individuals here. I could pick one of them, and then they would get the job and they would be responsible. We're not going to do that here. We're going to just leave it in Steve's hands. So I'm going to go ahead and start the steps. Again, going to take me into the dashboard where I'm going to review the project. So we go into the approval page, and from here I'm going to specify this project got tagged as 2024, and it's in PNF review, and you see it's the only one listed. And I'm going to spend a minute here at the end taking a detailed look at some of these dashboards and what they do. But for now, let's go ahead and let's look at this project. So we're going to select it again. The project details come up, scoring the details behind how it scored the way it did. So really, the reviewer, when they're looking at all of these projects, they can see all of this data before they even get in and start reviewing. So they get all this background right in the dashboard, and then their job is pretty simple because it's all here together in one application. I don't have to go hunting around for things. So we're going to go ahead in the final review now, and with that, I'm going to add my date, my name, and then the final reviewer comments. Do that. I want to approve it. And now I'm going to specify the stage, which should be planning, then design, construction, and completion. So it's preliminary design. And then we're going to specify funding. So this may get state funding, this may get local funding, federal funding. I'm going to go ahead and pick state funding for the project. And then with that, I'm going to go ahead and submit and finish the job. Once the job has been completed, it goes away from my list. If I were to have passed on this, then this would have come back, and then I could have put this into a basically in a save state where I come back to it at some other point based on review comments that the submitter gets and whatnot. But and Michelle has our new email waiting that says the project has been completed. She can go to the project tracking dashboard. So if we go ahead and do that, this is the same dashboard that is part of the dashboards we were just looking at from Steve Smith's view. This shows me now all of the projects that have been approved and are waiting for shovels to hit the ground and to get finished. So I can come in here and I can search for any project. So I can look at a year. So we'll look at 2024. I can look at projects in any phase. So completed, construction, design, planning, and I can see when I select, my project comes right up to the top. So I can see exactly where this project is based versus some of the others. Now, this information you see at the top, it looks kind of crazy at first, but when you select a project, it's going to whittle itself down. So what this shows is on this project, it's estimated to cost $1.5 million, and it's going to take 12 months. Now, if I take a project that's under construction, so I'm going to change this to show projects under construction, change the year. Let's go to 2023. You see that there were 4 projects under construction. When I select one, it shows me for budget, but on schedule. Here we can see that the project's under budget and on schedule. So everything matches up. So that's the whole purpose of this. Here's one where the project is under budget, but over schedule by a couple of months. So this dashboard lets me see all of those projects in whatever phase they're in. So you can see it's gone through the project lifecycle status, and now it's in project phase, and we can see exactly where they are. So again, if I go back to here and I look at any phase, this is going to show me all of the projects, and I can select multiple years. Let's just do reset. I can see the phase of the project, so I see planning, design. You see funding category type, so pavement, bridge, expansion, modernization, and then we can also see funding sources, local, federal, and state. So really just a nice view. And then Steve also has the same exact view. So if I were to come in to his dashboard, this is of course the dashboard where we review submitted projects. This is where those projects get scored. This is where they get approved. And so again, you're starting to see projects by year, projects by funding source, when that gets defined, the project list, and then the project, this is the project tracking list. So all of these dashboards are right at my fingertips. I have access to every one of them, so I can get to the information I need. You should have seen is that we have the ability through ArcGIS and through commercial off-the-shelf technology to basically support project intake. We can shepherd projects through work orchestration. We can score projects automatically. And then we have a process to allow you to review the projects and see all of the data of every project in the different phases through dashboards like these. So thanks again for watching, and I hope that this was informative and it gives you a broad idea of the capabilities that ArcGIS can bring to help you support infrastructure investment. Thank you.